He want the scoop, she want the tea. She want the tea. I cannot speak. We keep it in street. We keep it in street. I took a loss, but you still gon' get beat. You still gon' get beat. How much it costs? It never been cheap.
Okay, so this is the 15-minute chart. As you can see at the top, that is how I know. Typically, whenever I trade US30 or just any pair in general, with my schedule all together, I don't normally just go in for a market execution unless I am confident and I've been watching the trade or the market itself. But with my busy schedule, I cannot just look at the charts all day as I would like. So as you already know, I usually do a lot of pending orders, and these pending orders definitely work for me. So within the pending orders, I typically like to look at my older time frames. So my 15-minute chart is always going to be an entry level chart for me. So this is where I'm looking in for a possible, not TP, but a possible entry point. That is where I want my buy stop, my sell stop, my entry level to get around by. But typically I like to start off with the day. And I like to trade against the trend, or with the trend, not against. Trading against the trend, I have tried that numerous times in my past trading career, and it did not work for me. Trading with the trend is going to be your best friend. If you trade against it, if you're winning, hey, it may work for you, but if you're not, you may want to trade with the trend, okay? So just kind of looking at US30 right now and looking at the trend, what do you see just by looking at it right now? Just looking at it, looking at the day chart, what do you see that the overall trend for the day is possibly looking like? And y'all can unmute yourself or type in the chat box, whichever works for you.
An uptrend.
Okay, so we got an uptrend. Does everyone agree? All right, so we got some uptrends. All right, good job. So yeah, so overall we have an uptrend, and this is on the day chart. So when you think about any type of trend, right, what type of entries are you going to be mostly looking for? So if you see that the overall day is going to be an uptrend, what type of entries are you looking for? Is it a buy or is it a sell?
Buys.
Exactly. Good job. So we're going to look mostly for our buys because we want to trade with the trend, not against the trend. If you would like to get in for a sell, that's going to be mostly like a scalper trade where you just get 10 or 5 pips. But if you're someone who's actually trying to build their small account into a much larger account, I just advise you to trade with the most opportunities that you will find rather than trying to get the little ones. Okay, so overall, this is an uptrend, as you guys already stated. So from there, once I identify the trend, then I go to my 4-hour. The 4-hour should also be looking the same way as well. So as you can see, it has not changed. And that's a good sign, because when you see that your older time frames are aligned as far as the trend, then that should make you a little bit more confident as far as the overall opportunity of you going in for a buy is most likely going to happen, okay? So as you can see, my trend hasn't been broken from that day trend line as I created, okay? Then from there, this is just making sure that my trend line is actually right, okay? And this is making sure that my older time frames are aligning with the trend that I've already noticed within the day chart. So from the 4-hour, so we went from the day, the 4-hour, now I'm going to look at my 1-hour. Okay. So with my 1-hour, this is the trend line for here as far as for my day, but it kind of looks a little bit different if you notice here. And then if you kind of pull it back here, you notice if I start to have a trend here, oops, and then if I pull it back here, you see a mixture of a downtrend and then also an uptrend. because who knows, it may bounce off from this trend line here and go straight up, right? So with the 1 hour, it is showing more of a downtrend rather than an uptrend, as what we noticed from our day and from our 4 hour, right? So again, that is simply okay, because once you start looking at the 15-minute chart and you notice that the 15-minute is going into the direction that you're looking for, then that is your opportunity to get in for a pending sell. Again, I don't get into market executions because market executions do not work for me in my strategy, typically because it literally will just kick me out, or I'm in the drawdown real bad, because a lot of times I don't put stop losses for my case, because I have a lot of volume and a lot of money in my account to where I can hold down drawdowns if it comes down to that. Okay, so from here, we see a lot going on with the 1 hour. Usually your 1 hour charts are always not going to align with your 4 hour and your day chart. So honestly, that is not like a big surprise when it comes to the 1 hour, because that's just what the 1 hour does. Now, I told you guys earlier that now I'm going to be looking at my 15-minute chart. My 15-minute chart, okay, is honestly my entry point. Okay, so I'm looking for opportunities to get into the market. So as you can see here, it's the same look as my 1 hour. Okay, and that's completely fine. And honestly, we are trading on a Sunday, and that's why I tell you guys don't trade, or I try to advise you guys to not trade on Sundays or Mondays, because the market is just now kind of getting open and there's a lot of things that is coming into action. You got the news going on. It's just a lot of conflicts that can basically just make your trades turn left than what you want. So usually with US30, the good times to trade US30 that I've been seeing is Tuesday through Thursdays. Typically, that's when the market is a little bit stable with US30, and that's when you can see a lot more alignment. That's when you see that your day chart, your 4 hour chart, as well as your 1 hour chart is all aligned. Your 15-minute chart may be a little bit off, but that is not where you're trying to actually get in. You're really trying to maintain the trend that is with the day chart. So that's why I always do my pending orders. So this is typical when it comes to when the market just opened up. You see that your 15-minute, your 1 hour is not aligned with your 4 hour or your day chart. So this is typically how I would look for an opportunity. Now you may ask, okay, well, how do you actually go in for a pending order? How do you know, okay, this is the TP that I'm looking for, and this is the entry point that I'm wanting to get in at, right? So that's actually a good question. And the simplest and only technique that I use is resistance and support lines. This is what works for me. And honestly, it's the most easiest thing that it's just simple for me. So what I would do is I go to my horizontal line, and I like to just place some, let me actually make this a different color so we know which one is which. Oops. I like to put some at the very bottom and at the very top. And then I like to zoom in. So we know that the blues are really our trend lines, so that shouldn't bother us. But as you zoom in, if you guys are not familiar with my strategy, how I do my support and my resistant lines is by the candlesticks. So if I see that basically I have my two flat bottoms, literally two flat bottoms is right here. As you guys can see, these are two exact flat bottoms right here. Who cares about the wicks? Wicks are just your potential indicators. These are just the few saying that it can possibly go back down or it can possibly go back up, but you never know when it can possibly close above that wick. But that's just a possibility, right? So I'm always looking for my two flat bottoms or my two flat tops when I'm looking for resistance and support lines. Okay. That's the simplest thing. I'm always looking for that. I'm always also looking for a shorter candle, which is called the harami candle, and a longer candle where they may not be too aligned, but they're still there. And we may find something in here that I am referencing, but mainly I'm looking for two flat bottoms or two flat tops. And that's how I create my support and my resistant lines. So as you already see here, I've already created my support line here, and this is on the 15-minute chart. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to find another one. I like to make sure that my resistance support lines are not too spaced out, because as you guys already know, especially when it comes to your indices, you never want to have huge spaces in between your support and your resistant lines, because the market can turn around and then make you're winning at one point of time, and then now you're in drawdown, and you could be in drawdown for quite some time until the next day. Now you're back in profit, unless you got kicked out, depending on your stop loss or just depending on your like account size. So you always want to make sure that when you're trading US30 or any indice, you want to make sure that your support and your support and your resistant here, you want to make sure they're around candles. Okay, you don't want it to be like this. This is too wide. This is too wide, and this makes me uncomfortable, because if you were to get in for here for a sell stop, yes, it did come in your favor, right? But however, look what it did here. If you didn't create some sort of take profit or anything in that nature. So I like to always create different TPs. And that's why I'm getting into the habit to send you guys multiple TPs, because in case that, let's say you did have it here and you never had this one here. Let's say you did get in for a sale, right? And you got in for a sale, you never had a TP or anything. But what if this green candle, due to the news or anything, would have shot back up? You wouldn't have no help or anything as far as, oh, I didn't have at least a TP here or anything to stop me, unless you had like a stop loss somewhere up here. But it's very important that you never have a huge gap like this between your support and your resistant lines when it comes to indices. When it comes to Forex pairs like your EUR USD, that's totally fine, because they move a lot slower. And then depending on the lot size that you use, you're not going to lose that much within an hour or the next 10 minutes, like compared to US30. As you guys already know how volatile US30 is, if you notice that in the 15 minutes or the first 5 minutes, really, when it starts moving, it's moving. And depending on the lot size that you're using, you can make a lot of money or you can lose a lot of money. So you just really want to be cautious when trading indices compared to your Forex pairs. You can kind of be a little bit more lenient and not care as much, but indices can really break you if you are not careful with what you're doing in trading. So I'm going to actually go back to here. And this is how I find that. So here, this is a support. This is my resistance. And then just for caution, as I stated, I'm going to put it here. Okay, so we're looking for the flat bottoms, just like this. And then also, this is kind of like the harami candle, as I stated, with the smaller candle next to the larger candle. So this is where I'm going to put it here. So then this is our newer resistant line from this support line, but then this is our newer resistant line. This is our support line, if you were to look from there, right? So this is how I am looking for the opportunities of getting in for my pending orders, my TPs, and my stop loss. If you are a beginner trader, I advise you to have a stop loss, because you are still learning, and it may be a little bit challenging for you to gain back the pips or gain back the profit that you lost. So it's always important to just have a stop loss until you start getting comfortable and becoming a little bit of a natural of regaining your pips and regaining your profits in case if you were to lose it, okay? So let's say this is Sunday. It's what time? 7:25. The market has just opened up. It's moving a little bit slow, as you can see. This is not the way US30 typically moves. And this is why I don't trade on Sundays, because it's not really giving the volume that I'm looking for, right? Especially at nighttime, this is not what I want. I want to trade during the London session and the New York session. That's the sessions that I'm looking for. Now here, it may be a little bit of consolidation going on as the candles are starting to make an impact within the market. However, you may wonder, okay, well, when is the opportunity that I want to get in for a price entry? So as we already stated before, we're looking for buy opportunities, regardless of how the 1 hour and the 15-minute the 15-minute is looking like. I already have my confirmation that my 4 hour and my day is an uptrend, okay? So with that being said, I can possibly get in for a buy stop, okay? And if I still want to be around the cautionary areas, I can still put a little bit of a line here, okay? This is another support line from this resistance, and I can put my buy opportunity, which is a buy stop, at 32,596.8. I didn't have to. Now, that is just if I'm trying to get into the market a little bit sooner than later, right? So I could have put it here, or if you were just like, hey, I don't know what can happen or whatever the case may be, you're trying to be on the cautionary area, you could still have put your buy stop entry point at 32,623.8. Okay, so you have two different options that you can use. I just slowly want to get into the market a little bit sooner. So that would have been an entry, right? Now you're asking, okay, now how do I determine my TP? It's really up to how many pips or how much of profit you are trying to consume per day, okay? So that's why I always tell you guys, what is your goal for the week? What is your goal per day that you get into the market? Or every time that you get into the market, what is your goal? Is very important, because once you stick to a goal, it's easier to compound from that goal. So let's say you're a beginner trader and you're in US30, your goal may just be $10, and that's completely fine, because $10 is really, really easy to get in US30. So if you notice that you gained your $10, you're done for the day. That's it. And I want you guys to really, 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 really stay committed to your goals, because that's the only way that you can actually see growth within your actual account. Because if you tend to see, okay, I made $10, all right, cool, I'm greedy now, I'm trying to make more, the market's gonna take everything that you got. And now you're upset, now you're having to deposit more money, now you're having to start back over, and it's just not fun. It's really not fun, guys. I've been through that whole experience, and it's just not fun. So I'm truly, truly, truly saying this to help you guys, that it's very important to stick to a goal, okay? So with US30, I always try, for beginners, I always try to let them know a goal for US30 would be like $50. $50 is good for a beginner. Now, when you realize that you're getting $50 for, let's say, 2 months, I think that's a good goal. For 2 months, you've gained $50 each time that you've gotten into the trade with using US30. Then that's when you start to earn, or that's when you start to implement a little bit more interest into your goal, whether it's 0.10%, whether it's 15%, whatever the case may be. That's when you start implementing that, so that now instead of 50, you may want to go for 100 or whatever the case may be. So stick with a fairly easy goal first before actually making these unrealistic numbers. Because again, with US30, you may one day make $500 in one setting, but the next day you only make $20. It just really depends. The market's not going to always give us $1,000 every day. You just have to really, really, really stay committed to the goal that you set for yourself. And it has to be realistic, okay? So with all that being said, we have found our price entry point. Now we're looking into our TP, okay? And so as our TP, this is my TP here. So I'm actually gonna put, oops, this is my TP. This is my TP1 here. TP1 is at 32,738.1, okay? That is my TP1. Now you may say, Samara, that's a little bit too much for me, and I need something a little bit lesser than that. That is where you go and find the candles. You always want to find the candles that are aligned, or if the wicks are the same, that can also help too. But keep in mind, when it comes to wicks, those are possibilities. Those are what the future may hold. So you never want to stick or stay committed to wicks when you're forming your resistance support lines, because again, it may not happen right now. It may happen a couple of days later, or it may happen later in the day. So you always want to stay with the flat bottoms, the flat tops, or the same harami candle where the smaller candle is aligned to the larger candle. So you may say, okay, Samara, TP1 is way too big for me, that I can't hold that. This can be your TP1. And the reason why I found that just so quickly is because, again, we are looking for flat bottoms or flat tops. That's the easiest thing that I can tell you. That is literally what you're looking for. So then you could have dragged this here for TP1, which is now 32,691.5, okay? Your entry is somewhere here, 32,623.8, or it would have been 32,596.8, right? Now you're working with two take profits. Now you're working with this one here. This is your second take profit. So now you have two opportunities, okay? So if you notice that, let's say, hey, you get into the market for a pending order twice, right? You got in at, or you put your price entry point for 32,623.8, right? Your first TP for that first trade pending order that you just started, your first TP is now 32,691.5. But you may have wondered, okay, I want to see, because I see that the overall trend is an uptrend. I know for a fact that it's going to go back up here to 32,738.1. In that next trade that you decide to open up for your pending transaction, that's when you have your pending entry level here at 32,623.8. Then your TP now for the next trade that you opened up will be for 32,738.1. That's how you're able to get all of the TPs if you were looking to trade in that way. But if you are someone who is a beginner and someone who is trying to just build your account, then just stick with the TP1. That is perfectly fine. Again, with indices, you're going to make more than enough, okay? So that is up to your discretion on which TP you feel comfortable with trading with. That's really up to you. And then really where you find your stop loss, that is more so just looking back down here. Your stop loss may be here, 32,461.6, or it may be a little bit somewhere here. Now you may realize, hey, Samara, I don't see nothing that is the same, you know, flat bottoms, flat tops, everything that I have discussed of how I identify my resistance support lines. No problem. That's when you bring the market back and you just look for where the market was depending on your resistance support lines. That's how you find it. So I'm just going to drag it back as much as I can. So as you can see, the market has been in this very high volume, and I'm just dragging it back. And that is the importance of history when it comes to trading as well, because what has already done in the past can potentially happen again in the future. So it hasn't been in that area in quite some time. So we're just going to drag it back until we can't drag no more. But if you are looking for that, it may take you some time to find a resistance support line based off of that. or you can just simply use the US30 calculator and just put in how many points you're willing to lose, and it will basically calculate your stop loss from there. Because this is taking a lot because it hasn't been in that area for quite some time. So yeah, this is taking too long. Yeah, this is taking too long. So I'm not going to even keep going all the way because it's not even worth it right now. The easier way, when you notice that the market hasn't been in that area for quite some time, as you guys already seen from that example, as I stated before, go to the calculator, and that's where it's easier to where you can basically place your stop loss of how many pips or how many points you're willing to lose. When it comes to US 30s, 30 is mostly points that you're dealing with. So it's very important that you differentiate pips from your Forex trading pairs, which is your EUR USD versus your US30. If you're unfamiliar on how to calculate pips or just points in general, that can be in the next analysis or chart review that we do for the next month. But I just wanted to show you guys how I typically get into the market, how I'm able to send those ideas to you. Now, every idea may not start, you may not hit your TP right away. And there has been maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, where you guys seen that, where a lot of you guys were in the drawdown and you guys were freaking out. Hey, am I supposed to still stay in this market? And that's why I say it's very important that when I send out a trade to you all, look at what I just provided to you, or look at the trade technique that you use and see if that aligns with your trading technique. If it does not, do not take the trade. Use it in your demo and see. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it's very important that you always have a stop loss as a beginner. So all that is how I typically get into US 30. So for the week, based on this information, we know overall for today that is an uptrend. Now, you may want to know how the week is going to look for this week. And ultimately, it's still looking like an uptrend. So for this whole week for US 30, we are looking for buy opportunities, okay? That is where you're going to trade with the trend, not against, okay? But from the information that we just discussed, I want to challenge you guys to kind of look at not US 30, but gold, kind of implement some of the things that I've discussed with you guys, and some of the things that you use for your strategy that works for you, and comment in the community in our Telegram of what you may think that the overall week, as far as the trend is looking like for gold, and then also comment down the goals that you have set in mind for this week. I really, really want us to really finish this year off strong, so that next year we can definitely hit the higher goals that we're looking for when coming to trade Forex.